Alright, so we're going to grade numbers 34 through 49. Make sure that you, at the end, will write the grade here, but right now you need to write your name in the blank. We're going to go ahead and turn to number 34. Let's see what page. 34 is on page, whatever this is, page 6. So these will be 1 point if they tried it, but it's wrong. These will be minus, what did I say, 7 if they skipped or didn't show work where there needed to be work. So this one, it says identify the 3 angles that have a measure of 124. So if you did your zigzag, your answer should be angle 2, angle 3, and angle 7. If they did not write it out and all they did was circle it, it is minus 1. You need to write it out. Angle 2, angle 3, and angle 7. If they're missing the angle symbol, it is also minus 1. So for our next one, this requires work, 35. So if you do the zigzag, 62 does not land on this angle. It also doesn't look like it's 62. It looks greater than 90. So we know that these two are a linear pair. So 180 minus 62 is 118. So this angle will equal 118 degrees. So we're going to subtract 38. 4y equal 80, so y equals 20. So again, this one required work. If it doesn't have this work, it'll be minus 7. We'll move on to number 36. It's the same idea. It needs to show work here. Do the zigzag. You'd get a, nope, wrong. Yep, I'm right. 55. Alright, so do the zigzag. Sorry if I repeat myself, my husband just called me. 55 does not land on this angle, so they do not equal. So you need to find out what this angle equals by subtracting from 180. And it equals 125. So subtract 70. So x equals 55. Write an equation of a line passing through the point that is parallel to the line. So this is where we're going to use the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So you're going to plug in the points they gave you. So negative 2, which will make a positive. Your slope will be parallel to the old one, so it will be the same slope. The old slope is 4, so your new slope is 4. And then your x is 6. So I'm going to bring it up here and distribute. On the left is y plus 2. On the right you distribute, you get 4x minus 24. Subtract 2, y equals 4x minus 26. This one again required work, so make sure you showed it. This next one, you're going to have a bit of fractions to do. So we're going to have y minus the y they gave you, which would be 8. Your slope will be perpendicular to the old one. So the old slope, if I had distributed, the old slope would have been negative 8 over 13. So perpendicular to that is 3 over 8. Positive 3, oops, sorry, what am I doing? Positive 13 over 8. So you do the opposite sign, that's why I went from negative to positive, and then you flip it. So that's why it's 13 over 8. And then the x, which would be negative 3, and then when we plug it in, it looks like a positive. On the left, it's just y minus 8. On the right, we got 13 over 8 plus You multiply the top, so you get 39, and then you multiply the bottom. 8 times 1 is 8. We're going to add 8. You can only add when you have the same denominator. So we have y equals 13 over 8x. You can only add these two fractions if they have these two fractions right here. If they have the same denominator, so you're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the denominator you want, which would be 8. So we get 64 over 8. This is equivalent to 8, so it's not like we're adding something random. We add the tops of our fractions, which would be positive 103, and then over 8. That's your final answer for number 38. Final answer. So it did need all of that work. So there's that. 39, you need to show me the slopes. If it hasn't shown slopes, then they did not follow directions. Because in the review video, I told you to do this. So if they didn't show the slopes, it's a minus 12. Oh, sorry, just kidding. Minus 7, sorry. Whoop. There's 15 problems, so the 7 if you skip might be, or don't show work. Alright, so then here's how you do it. We're going to show the slope of A, B, C, and D. So let's start with, we'll just start with A. A is a negative slope. It looks like we lower 1 and we go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1 over 8. B is also a negative slope. We go down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So negative 1 over 6. C is positive. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then over 1, which 8 over 1 reduces to 8. And then line D is also negative. It goes down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So down 1 over 6. So from here, we're going to decide which lines are parallel. Parallel have the same slope. So you're going to say line B is parallel to line D. Make sure you have the symbol for parallel and then the word lines. So those are the parallel. Perpendicular, there's only one set of perpendicular. And that would be A and C. So line A is perpendicular to line C. So reason being, they're the opposite sign. 8 is positive. Negative 1/8 is negative, and then they're the reciprocal of each other. Determine if lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. In order to do this, they must be written in y equals mx plus b. So you need to take them aside and put them in y equals mx plus b. Maybe I'll put it over here. Here. So I'll have some room. So in order to get it in y equals mx plus b, I got to solve for y. So I need to get 2y by itself. I'm going to subtract the 4x. 2y equals negative 4x plus 10. Now I am going to divide each piece by 2. Y equals negative 2x plus 5. From here we compare our slopes. The second equation was already written in y equals mx plus b. So if they're parallel, they'd be the same. They're not the same. If they're perpendicular, they're the opposite sign and the flipped. So that is true here. So these are perpendicular. That's your answer. Again, they need to show work. It's a minus 7 if they didn't show any work. 41 is the same idea. We have to solve for y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to write this one over here. We need to solve for y. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5. So So we're going to compare this slope to the other line. I'm going to make this smaller so I have room. Oop. So 4x plus 6y equals negative 48. Subtract 4x on both sides. Divide by 6. Y equals negative 2/3 x minus 8. So they have the same slope. This makes them parallel. Again, they had to show the work. It's minus 7 if they don't have any work. We're going to move on to 42 and 43. So 42, again, you're going to do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So when we plug in our y, that'll be negative 3, which will look like a positive. My slope, I'll find from my old line, but I can't find it the way it's written. So I need to solve for y equals mx plus b. So I'm subtract 6x. So remember that you can't subtract a letter and a number, so you're just going to write them next to each other. Divide by negative 4. Y equals 3 over 2. X, and the rest doesn't matter. My new slope is going to be 3 over 2. Because it's parallel to my old one. So parallel means the same. Same slope. The x I'm going to plug in over here is 5. So we're going to distribute. So 3 over 2x minus 15 over 2. Subtract 3 over 1. Y equals 3 over 2x. Again, you need to have the same denominator. So you're going to multiply this fraction by 2 over 2. So 6 over 2. You're going to keep the denominator. They're both negative, so my outcome is going to be negative. Minus 15 minus 6 is negative 21. One more problem just like this. It has slightly less work. My y is going to be 3. My slope, I can just look at this one to find the perpendicular slope. It's going to be the opposite sign and the flipped. So 17 over 7. And then my x is going to be 9. So we're going to distribute this 17 over 7x. You're going to have to multiply the top. 17 times 7. Sorry, 17 times 9, might be, which is 153. It's not pretty. It is what it is. We're going to add 3. When we add 3, we're going to put it over 1. We can't add them unless they have the same denominator, so we want them both to have a 7. So 1 times 7 is 7. 3 times 7 is 21. So our slope will stay the same. We will have 7 as the denominator, but now we need to do minus 153 plus 21. It'll be negative 133. It wasn't pretty, but we did it. Alright, we're going to move on to page 8. You're almost done, I promise. Okay, so find, write the equation of line passing through the given point that is perpendicular to the given line using the same point slope formula. I'm going to plug in the y, which is 4. Plug in the slope. It's going to be perpendicular to the old one. So perpendicular to 3 over 5 is negative 5 over 3. And plug in negative 9, which of course will turn into a positive. The left will stay the same. The right you will distribute. You'll distribute to the 9. You're going to multiply. So where do I have room? I'll try down here. Negative 5 over 3 times 9 over 1. Multiply straight across. You get negative 45 over 3, which reduces to negative 15. The last step, you get y by itself. We're going to add 4 to get y by itself. So y equals negative 5/3 x minus 11. I'm going to give myself some more room on this next one. Alright, so we do one more of these. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Plug in the y they gave you. Your slope is going to be parallel to the old one, so it's going to be the same. And then plug in the x they gave you, which is negative 3. Negative negative makes a positive. You should like this one. This one will turn out pretty fine. So we'll have 2/3 x. 2/3 times 3 over 1 would be 6 over 3, which is 2. Add 4. Y equals 2/3 x plus 6. Whew! Now that we're done with that, again, they need to show the work. It's minus 7 if there's no work. These two, the fill in the blank parallel lines have the same slopes, and perpendicular lines have opposite, reciprocal. They need to have those exact words because you were allowed to use your notes on this. So there's literally no excuse to not have the words opposite, reciprocal. Alright, and then we have our last two. Name pair of parallel lines. So in our picture, these little arrows tell me these two lines are parallel. So let's name the first line. There are many things you could name it. You could name it DC. This is the same thing as CD. You could also name it AD. You could also name it DA. You could also name it AC or CA. Those are the only options. That is the first line. They need to have the parallel symbol. The second line, they could say FB. They could say BF, they could say EF, they could say FE, they could say EB or BE. If at any point in time, maybe they didn't name this one correctly, maybe they didn't put the symbol, maybe they didn't name this one correctly, it is minus 1. Okay, so those are your parallel lines. 49, name a pair of perpendicular lines. Perpendicular means they intersect and form a 90. So we're going to name this line first, because why not? It doesn't matter which line you name first. But this one, it's only CE or it will be EC. Those are your options. They need to have the perpendicular symbol, which is an upside down T. Then they will name the second line, which has a couple more names. This is the one we said FE, we said EF, we said BF, FB, BE, or EB. Okay, so if they didn't name this line right, it's -1. If they didn't put so total. If at any point in time it's wrong, it's just -1 total. So they could miss literally every single thing, and it's -1. So you're going to go back to the front page, put a grade, and then your sub will ask for it.